Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? So the NFL schedule was released on Thursday night formally. We knew it was all leaked beforehand, but of course ESPN, the NFL Network, everybody did these selection or schedule release shows. And Jameis Winston was a guest on the NFL Network schedule release show with Rich Eisen, Steve Mariucci, and Michael Irvin. And they talked schedule, but they also talked about Jameis's health and updated health. And Steve Mariucci, well, you'll hear the question as well, but this is Steve Mariucci asking the question to Jameis about his availability.
How are you feeling? Are you close to being 100% so you can win some more games this year?
Coach, if you needed me to strap it up right now, I'd be able to go.
Is that right?
But
Yes.
honestly,
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes. Okay.
We're taking this process slowly. It's about getting better every day. So I'm embracing it, and I'm excited, man. I'm excited to be able to talk football and just keep progressing.
The fantastic news is that Jameis appears healthy, right? I mean, we've all assumed it, and we've seen a lot of the videos that he's done, the training videos that he's done, and he certainly looks like he's moving well, but you never really know until you get out on the field and do it. But he was injured on Halloween. So you're talking about October 31st. So November, December, January, February, March, April. I mean, you're 6.5 months from that injury. And maybe the best part about that is we just know how much progress there's been with these types of injuries, with ACLs, and the recovery isn't what it once was, and you can come back from it. And Jameis here 6 months removed from that injury, looks like he's ready to roll. That's fantastic news. They asked if he would be play 3, please, if he'd be ready to go week 1.
Do you think you are going to be the starting quarterback for the Saints in that first game this year, James?
Yes, sir. I know I'm going to be out there ready and prepared to go.
All right.
Absolutely.
I mean, that really goes without saying. Even Andy Dalton, when he was signed, he even acknowledged when he was signed that he was here to support Jameis, to help bring him through whatever he needs to and mature and come through the whole process and to be better. So, of course, Jameis is going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy week 1, and if he stays healthy, he'll be the guy all season long against this schedule, which we now know. The big question is, what Jameis will we see? Last year he was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL through the first 7 games. The Saints were 5-2. It was looking very promising as you were starting to sort of take the shackles off a little bit. You were seeing him open it up a bit. And we never really got to see that promise fulfilled because of the injury. So what will that look like now when you remove a variable like Sean Payton, but you add Michael Thomas, you add Chris Olave, you have a healthy offensive line? It stands to reason the offense will be better this year. And the last thing was Jameis talking about what the injury has done for him mentally coming off this injury.
This was the first time in my life where, when I first got to the Saints, I got a chance to sit behind Drew and took everything slowly. But this is the first time I was not in the building. I was really removed from this. So I was able to grow a lot with my family. I was able to really build more on my foundation and my faith. And I just got hungrier. I got hungrier because not just the admiration and the passion I got for the game, but the hunger I had to be back out there with my teammates.
Certainly looks good in all the videos we've seen of him moving, and I like to hear that from him as well. It probably sounds a bit like a broken record because we've talked about it for 2 years now, but I think it's evident that we've seen Jameis Winston mature as a man. Like, we've talked about it a lot, but he's been humbled professionally and physically for the first time in his life, not being re-signed in Tampa, now going through the injury. He's certainly matured as a man. He's a husband now. He's a father, which I think everybody who's listening who is married or has children, knows what that will do to you and how that will affect your life. I think you got a guy who's poised and ready for this phase of his career as a 27-year-old and what's going to be next. I was fascinated by this. I'm not sure if you saw it, but Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, somebody asked him on Twitter, what are your realistic stat projections for Jameis Winston this year? And he replied to the tweet, 5,395 passing yards, 47 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. And then he followed with a subsequent tweet and basically said having Michael Thomas and Chris Olave is going to make that possible. For perspective, y'all, Tom Brady led the NFL last year with 5,316 passing yards. If Jameis threw for 5,395, that would lead the NFL. Brady led the NFL last year with 43 touchdowns. Jameis at 47 would best that number from Brady a year ago. And Brady had 12 interceptions. He's saying Jameis will have 9. So basically 5,400 passing yards, 47 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. If Jameis Winston puts up those types of numbers, the Saints not only are a playoff team, but they're a Super Bowl contending team. I don't know if those numbers are feasible. That's Chad Johnson saying it. I mean, that's an all-time great NFL receiver looking at the offense that the Saints will put together and saying that that's possible based on the talent on the field. And I'm not so sure that I would say that I would expect that, but I will remind you that Jameis Winston has thrown for 5,000 yards already in a 16-game regular season. If he stays healthy and you give him these weapons and that offense, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. I'd be ecstatic to see it. But, when the schedule release came out and we saw the win total at 7.5, it kind of threw me off a little bit because that feels very light. And this is not a homer take, but last year, going into the season, so like early September, the first week of the NFL season, the Saints' projected win total was 9.5. And that's with Jameis at quarterback. The projected win total was 9.5 in a 17-game season. Now, obviously, they went 9-8, so they went under that number, but that was before the injuries. That was with the expectation that Jameis was going to start 17 games. That was without the knowledge that Ian Book was going to start a Monday Night Football game against the Miami Dolphins, that you were going to have Trevor Siemian start more games, half your games in the season, or 5 games in the season. Then Taysom Hill, you were going to start 4 different quarterbacks. You were going to start 58 different players throughout the course of the season. That was without that knowledge. I mean, the projected win total was 9.5. You hit 9 with all of those injuries, which is incredible. They most certainly would have gone over had they stayed healthy, but they didn't, and it's how it went. But they were still right there. So to see that number drop by 2 games, and knowing you have Michael Thomas back, and you're adding Chris Olave, and your offensive line is healthy, and you've made some really nice free agent acquisitions, especially in your secondary, it's a little odd to see that number at 7.5. And the only realistic explanation that I have is that that's just a straight nod to Sean Payton not being there anymore. And maybe he's worth 2 games. It's the variable that we're all brushing aside that may be the most important, is losing Sean Payton. I mean, coaches matter in football. It absolutely does. We saw it in 2012 with Bountygate. You remove Sean Payton, and they put up the banner, do your job, and you thought you had everything in place with Aaron Cromer and Joe Vitt and all the duties were divvied up, and you thought it was what it was supposed to be, and you go 7-9. You had literally the worst defense in the history of the NFL. So we've seen the Saints without Sean Payton before, and it didn't go well. How much different will it be this go-round? I don't know. And that's the variable, and maybe that's worth 2 games to odds makers. And I can't blame them. Sean Payton would be worth 2 games to me. But I'm banking on Dennis Allen being better and having a more talented roster this year and being able to get over that number. So, schedule's out. Jameis is healthy. Vegas has Saints pegged at 7.5. So it might be a pretty good decision to get your bets in now. Take that over because they're winning more than 7 games. How many more? Well, that probably depends on how close Jameis gets to those numbers we just talked about. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.